Hello, learners. So, we are back with the third part of the third chapter in geography, class 12th NCRT, book 2, India, People and Economy. This is the chapter on human development. We have already published the first two videos on human development. So, this is the concluding part of the lesson. So, in this part of the lesson, we are going to discuss about the human developed indices of the various states and union territories of India, and we will be analyzing the HDI report of these countries. And we will also be discussing the relationship between population, environment, and development. How does increase in population impact development, and what is its impact on the environment? The amendments made by United Nations Development Program in its UNDP report, and also how this development can be achieved in a better way. So let's begin. We have seen like there is a lot of variation in the human development index values in India. Different, if we rank all the states and union territories on the basis of their human development, so a lot of variation, regional disparities is observed. And Kerala ranks first highest HDI value with 0.790. So it has the highest HDI. Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, Goa, and Punjab are next in order, and they also have a high HDI value. Whereas Bihar, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh, they are placed at the bottom amongst 23 major states. So the lowest value is of Chhattisgarh, 0.358. So according to this, the Chhattisgarh ranks in low HDI. uh, Kerala ranks amongst high SDIPC, the four categorization according to UNDP. Kerala would rank amongst high SDI, and Chhattisgarh would rank amongst low SDI state. So, what are the causes for this achievement of some states, and the fallacy of some states which have not been able to achieve human development while other states are doing good? So there could be three factors which are responsible for this disparity. The first and foremost is literacy. We see that in Kerala, if we see the situations, like literacy is the highest, it has attained highest literacy. Even the gender sex ratio is better over there as compared to the other states. So this would definitely reflect in the HDI value, because one of the indicators which measures HDI is literacy rate. So Kerala is fairly doing well in literacy rate because there is gender parity. So there would be less discriminations followed between the male and the female. That would also result in an improvement in the HDI value. There are some problems which lies in these states like Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Assam, UP. These states have the low level of literacy, and there is high gaps between gender-wise literacy, especially in the rural areas. The situation is still worse. So this could be one reason for their low HDI values. The second important reason could be economic development. The states, when we see the data, the states which are economically developed like Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Gujarat, they have higher values in HDI, while the states whose economic development is not so high, uh, the same states like Bihar, UP, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, they have lower values of HDI. So because of economic attainment, or economic development, uh, is not better in these states. They also, some of these states also have very high population density, especially Bihar, UP. Some states have higher tribal population, so which are marginalized, which have not been able to be brought into the main sections of the society. So these reasons could also be there for their low HDI. The third important reason which reflects here is social disparities. There has been a lot of social distortions and disparities, regional distortions, which we see in the matter of development. And the impact of colonial rule can still be seen in some parts of India, especially in the tribal areas. Right, the British policies of that was followed against the tribals, that has marginalized the tribal groups. It has taken away their forest lands, and they have been forced to live under poverty stricken conditions. They have been um, just displaced from their forest lands. The forest have been the forest of India, when they were grouped by the Britishers as a reserved forest, protected forest, then that limited the rights of the tribals who were dependent on this forest for their produces. So these tribals have been marginalized. They have not been given more opportunities for education, and they find it difficult to uh, settle and adjust in the urban environment. So uh, the policies of the British during the colonial period, it still has its influence that we can see in the Indian society, economy and polity, and that effect can also be reflected in the HDI values in India. So when we analyze the concept of development, right in the beginning, we have discussed that development and underdevelopment coexist in India. For India, development is a mixed bag of opportunities. These concepts we have already discussed in the previous part of the lesson. So what we see here is development in general and human development in particular. It is a complex concept of social science. It's very complex because for ages it was thought that if a country is economically developed, all the problems of the society would be solved. But it doesn't happen so. But we have seen, on the other hand, that the for meeting the requirements of a Eurocentric view of development, which relates it to modernization, computerization, industrialization, urbanization, growth of transport and communication sector. If these things are related to development, it also causes disparity in the society. The division between the rich and the poor goes on enhancing. A huge gap is produced between the two sections of the society. So for ages, development was considered as a substantive concept. Its overall concept, it will address, it was thought that the development is going to address all the issues of the society, and the issues of poverty, issues of social discrimination, social injustice, all this will be addressed through development. But aisa hua nahi. And this went on widening. So it was believed that development would address all ills of the society, whether it is socio-cultural or environmental. But on the contrary, what we find that development has resulted in more of these ills. It has enhanced the social inequalities, social discriminations. It has enhanced environmental degradation. It has resulted in poverty of a section of the people. So development does not seem to address all these issues, but it is also creating or enlarging the problems. So what should be done under this condition? So when UN United Nations Development Program, it analyzed its situation under this condition, it made certain amendments uh, to be included in human development, to be included in the concept of human development, which would try to address the problems that exist in the society because of development. So in its amendment, it has put these issues, like it's important for development. uh, Two things we have also discussed, like progressive democratization and people's participation in the society. It is important for human development. There are minimum conditions for human development. So people's participation in society is given utmost importance in terms of human development. People should be free to voice their opinion. They should be having the right to participate in the society. Now participation can be in various terms. Participation can be in also helping the poorer sections of the society, providing help to them. This we have seen that during this pandemic situation, many people came out to help the, especially the labor class. They have provided them help in whatever manner they could, by distribution of food items, medicines, and all those things. So more and more such participation should happen in the society, so that the gap between the rich and poor sections of the society should be reduced. The security of people is again of utmost importance. So in the regions of terrorism, naxalism, we have to control such conditions so that the security of people can improve. Progressive democratization. Democracy is an important political concept, and um, it should be progressive. It should, there should be enhancement in the condition of people in a democracy. If the status quo is maintained in a democracy, and if there is no progress, then that is not going to help. So a democratic society should always be progressive. It should address the ills that are there in the society. It should try to remove the disparities and social injustice that is being practiced in the society. Then only the democratic society can be progressive. Empowerment of the people, we have already discussed that empowerment or decision making, uh, choice is a choice of making their decisions should be given to the people, and that enhances the human development. Next is role of civil societies for bringing peace and human development. So the civil society should work towards maintaining peace, because if there is any war or terrorism like of condition, that uh, gives a setback to developmental work. So peace and harmony should be maintained. एक सौहार्द होना चाहिए, दंगों पे कंट्रोल होना चाहिए, आपस में मेल जोल होना चाहिए, भेदभाव की स्थिति से दूर रहना पड़ेगा, तभी मानव विकास सही मायनों में हो पाएगा. रिडक्शन इन आर्म्ड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स. जो एक दो देशों के बीच में जो एक टेंशन क्रिएट होता है along the borders, international borders, this has to reduce, and then only human we can talk about development in terms of human development. Or there are some countries which is spend more money on the welfare of the people, uh, providing them good education, good health care, and there are some examples of countries which do not maintain their defense forces, and the part of the economy or the part of the finance that they would spend on the defense forces, that they are spending on the welfare of the people, and they have progressed. Progress is seen in these societies. Costa Rica is a good example of such a country. It is located in the Central American country, Central American part, between the North America and the South America, and it has not, it does not maintain its army. And the part of the spending that it would do to maintain the defense forces, it spends on the welfare of the people, and people are happy with that, and the progress can be seen in the society. So more other countries could also follow this example. So lesser expenditure on defense is another requirement. The example I have given already, Costa Rica, that is a good example of such situation. Now, this is a very important relationship for us to understand, the relationship between population, environment, and development. We can understand this relationship through this equation. I means environmental impact, impact on the environment. I is equal to PAT. So P here refers to population, A refers to affluence. Affluence means richness. When people have more purchasing power or consumption power, they have more money to spend. And T is the technological advancement. So here we see there are I is equal to PAT, means pop. Uh, Impact on the environment grows. If the population grows, the environmental impact will increase. If the purchasing power of people will grow, if there is more richness for the people, if they become more rich and they spend a lot on on obtaining material object, if they become materialistic, then again there is an adverse effect that they see into the environment. And third, if there is advancement in technology, with more technology, the resource depletion also becomes much more advanced. And we can see the example of the developed countries. Developed countries are the ones which use any resource to more quantity. They use more quantity of resources. They believe in uh, like in the society in the developed countries, in US, in UK, they after a few years they would change their entire furnitures, and they believe in change, and uh, they shift to new places. So they are using much more resources than the developing countries like India. In our society in India, what we see that mm, uh, if we are uh, buying a furniture, it remains, so the same furniture would remain with us for a long period of time. We can use that for 10 20 years of time, and we do not change them frequently. So here we are in India, especially from um, the time immemorial, we have a conservationist attitude. We believe in conservation of the nature. We worship the trees. We protect the animals around us. We have been making sacred groves, and so we believe in the conservationist approach. We do not spend much. Uh, if there is more consumption of the uh, resources, that would result in environmental degradation, and it would have adverse effect on the environment. So the developed societies, they have more spending, and the environmental impact also is more. The carbon footprint, uh, the amount of impact that they produce in the carbon footprint is also more in comparison to the developing and underdeveloped nations. So the neo-Malthusians and the environmentalists and ecologists, they believe that there should be a proper balance between population and resource, and this is important for a happy and peaceful life. If there is the population growth is exponential, the resource grows very marginal. The population grows in geometric progression, but the resource grows only in arithmetic progression. Means if there is, for example, the resources will grow in addition, but
exponential growth will happen in multiplication or in the powers. For example, you see 2 plus 2 is 4, or say but 2 to the power of 4 would be 16. So the population growth happens very, very fast, but the resources do not grow in the same proportion. The resource growth is uh, lesser in comparison to the population growth. So a time comes when the resources become scarce to meet the needs of the growing population. And because of high population growth, overexploitation of resource takes place, and there is an urgent need to maintain parity between population and resources. Here we are reminded of a phrase given by Gandhiji: there is enough to meet everybody's need, but not to meet anyone's greed. So the earth has enough resources to meet the needs of the people, but if anyone becomes greedy and they go on over exploiting the resource, then the resource would fall scarce. Sir Robert Malthus, he first pointed out this relationship between population and resource. He voiced concerns about scarce resource and fast growing population. He says that population growth will take place in geometric ratio. So in geometric progression, population will grow. So it will grow faster, much more faster than the growth in resources. So it has some drawbacks because of exponential growth of population. The resources will not be enough to meet the needs of the growing population. Resources are also unevenly distributed, and overexploitation by rich and powerful results in conflicts and contradictions. Those the people who are unable to have access to resources, uh, they try to take away the resource, or they will adapt to anti-social ways of acquiring the resource because they don't have much access to it. Mahatma Gandhi, he also advocated social harmony and harmony between people and nature. He said that we should adapt to moral views, spirituality, self-reliance, and non-violence. Austerity of individual, trusteeship of social wealth for achieving higher goals in life. So he said that there should be a harmony maintained in the society. People should believe in maintaining social wealth rather than maintaining individual wealth. And they should live a harmonious life for achieving higher goals. Lastly, to conclude with in this chapter, the last topic is Swachh Bharat Mission. This also focuses on improving the health conditions in India. It focuses on reducing the environmental impact. As we see in the developed, in the urban areas, especially the as the population is growing, it is having a negative impact on the environment. Even in the rural areas, the system of open defecation, uh, it was followed for centuries, and that also resulted in spread of diseases. Unhygienic living conditions also spread in spread of diseases. People, if they do not have access to safe potable drinking water, on then water, infectious diseases could spread in the surrounding. So waterborne diseases were also many a times it affected the people and the health conditions. So for meeting or to address all these issues, Swachh Bharat Mission was launched by Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi on October 2, 2014. The main objectives of this program was making India open defecation free, especially in the villages. Public toilets and personal toilets were made in all households so that people don't have to go out in the field to defecate. And secondly, it achieved 100% scientific management of municipal solid waste. Municipal solid waste could be used for, it can be used for production of biogas, and it can be recycled and it will use as fertilizers. Construction of individual household toilets, community toilet seats, and public toilet seats. In India, these were very short, and now emphasis is given on creating these household toilets and community toilets and public toilets so that people don't have to defecate in the open. Then the government has also provided a lot of subsidy or almost free of cost LPG cylinders in the rural areas, because earlier in the rural areas the main fuel that was used was their dependence on cow dung cake and fuel wood. This was more, or because of which the environmental pollution take place, and even the health hazard is caused for especially to the women, those who are frequently cooking under this condition. They would suffer from asthma and breathing issues. So to improve rural health and especially of the women in the society, to reduce the level of pollution, government has tried to provide free liquid petroleum gas cylinders, the cooking gas cylinders, in every household, in every rural household, so that they don't have to burn cow dung and fuel wood for cooking needs. Providing potable drinking water to every household is very, very important. It also improves on, it has indirect impact on people's health. If people are drinking safe drinking water, they would be free from waterborne diseases and water infectious diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, etc. And the government is trying to promote the use of non-conventional energy. The amount of energy produced through solar power, wind power, it is being promoted, and at many places solar power panels have been installed. Government is also providing subsidy for personal installation of solar panel. So through these objectives, the government is trying to improve the health conditions and reduce the level of pollution in India, and trying to also manage the problem of solid waste. There have been significant achievement. 2014 it was launched, and in the past 6 to 7 years, significant achievement has been achieved because of this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. 93.1% of households have achieved access to toilets, reduced deaths due to diarrhea, malaria, and thereby improved child health and nutrition. Savings from a household toilet exceeds the cost to the household. Incorporate environmental and water management issues for sustainable improvement in long term. State-wise data is given. So Chhattisgarh scored the highest in Swachh Sarvekshan assessment among 12 states which have more than 100 urban local bodies. So Chhattisgarh has done fairly well. Even Jharkhand also has done well. So Kerala has a poor score, Bihar has a poor score. So this is a comparison of the states. So this chapter is over. Stay tuned for more such videos. Thank you.